Hi, and welcome to the second masterclass of the 2023 to 2024 series with the MET Orchestra Musicians at Lessonface, today featuring Concertmaster Benjamin Bowman. I'm Katie Falk-Flores here with Lessonface, where we connect students with great teachers for live lessons and classes. In this masterclass today, we will have 3 student performance and coaching sessions, followed by a brief Q&A at the end. So please enter any questions you may have in the chat box as you have them, and we'll address them after the performances. And now June Lee will play the exposition of the first movement of the Sibelius Violin Concerto, followed by orchestral excerpts by Mozart, Mahler, and Strauss.
Unmute myself. I'm going to unmute myself. Brava. Sounds beautiful. Can you hear me?
I do hear you.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I want to ask you if you'll just keep playing. Are you comfortable playing the rest of the repertoire that you put down now, and then we can talk afterwards? Is that
Sure.
good for you? Okay, wonderful. Clapping for you, brava! Beautiful playing. It's really nice to meet you and nice to hear you play. Where are you situated?
Right now I'm in LA.
You're in LA. Cool. Oh wow. Okay, so it's not that early. I guess it's still early enough, but good. And are you? What's your situation? Where are you in your life? What's happening with you right at the moment?
Um, I graduated last May
Okay, from.
and from MSM, Manhattan School of
Okay.
Music.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
and I will
And
be, yeah.
sorry, and so you're back in LA and you're
That's where I'm situated right now. I'm kind of in a transitional period where I will be freelancing and auditioning, and I'm looking for a base where I can do that from while doing gigs and freelancing.
but you're
Yeah,
so you're sort of open to where that's going to be still, and you're not sure. Yeah. So,
correct.
okay. Well, that's a good way to be. I mean, if you're flexible enough, I'm sure you're sounding great. I'm sure you'll find something soon that fits that bill for you. I, I haven't done a class on Zoom for a long time, so I'm getting used to this sort of sound profile and all of that stuff. I mean, it's coming through really clearly, and I think I get a really good sense for where you are, and everything. There's a degree of separation with it that I'm not crazy about, but it's so cool to be able to work with you across the country like this. That's such a neat thing to be able to do this. So I'm very grateful for the chance, and thanks to anyone and everyone who's here for this. It's a treat for me to hear talent like this. Um, so yeah, I mean, listening through, there are some very specific pieces of advice I can give you, but the general sense is that you're extremely well prepared and you have a great attention to detail. Your tone is very healthy. Who did you study with at MSM?
Miss Lisa Kim and Mr. David Chen.
Okay, cool, nice. I've heard of them. Um, but I feel like I want to hear a little bit more or get the sense more of commitment from you generally in your this little bit of playing that I've heard of yours for character and really committing to more to your own personal ideas about what you're playing. I think that and this is always a thing for me. It's not like you're the first to get it today, but this is always the way I like to treat these kinds of situations, is to try to identify more of your own feelings in this stuff. Try to really get past the platform and the weirdness of the masterclass setting and all that stuff, and try to really get completely involved musically in what it is that you're playing. And I feel like it's just that one degree of separation off for me from completely convincing. And especially starting with the Sibelius, like I noticed, I mean, I always like to think of the Sibelius as modern music, something that's not yet in the standard repertoire. I know that's not true, but I like to think of it as something because it's so wild and so out there and it's so innovative in so many ways and so incredible and so incredibly colorful that I think it's such a telling exposition because there's so much information about approach. And for my taste, it was on the conservative side
Let's see. Okay.
musically, and that's not to fault it. It's just that I like to. Do you know people who speak Finnish, or do you speak any Finnish?
Kitos.
Okay, hey, it's not bad. No, but I don't speak any Finnish myself, but I've been to Finland. I have a few friends, musician friends who are Finnish, and the speech is so rhythmical and the way, and it's so much in the music. For Finnish, it's got this little bit of so da-da-dum, da-da-dee, all these little rhythmic things are they come from the language, right? Just like the much more tried and true visual expression of Sibelius being in this tundra, the Arctic tundra, and all that stuff, and we all know that and think about it. But how do we make that work? How do we convey that? How do we portray that more convincingly or more connectedly? And for me, it's really, I mean, I could have started backward by just saying you need to use greater bow speed here and you need to do this there and do that, blah 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 blah. But I feel like your execution of what you've prepared is so excellent. I feel like my job in this situation is just to remind you to let yourself go a little bit more emotionally with it and have a little bit more visual stimulus contact in your mind with your non-auditioning self, with your non-masterclass playing self. And I know how difficult it is to be on your side. I've been there plenty myself, and so I understand what it feels like to play in this kind of scenario. But I think that what we should go for here in the few minutes that we have is just try to like pull it all apart a little bit more. Because if I'm honest, you know, I'm listening to your excerpts also, and I'm hearing also a slight, just a sort of a conservativeness to it. I don't think that you're going to lose any um, any status in your auditions or in your performances if you let go a bit, because you have great intonation and great rhythmic integrity and stuff like that. So I don't think you're going to lose that. But experimenting with being more wild in the Mozart, more extreme in the Mozart, more extreme in the Sibelius, more intimate in the Mahler, and Don Juan just more exuberant and macho. Have For me, that's the finishing touch. I feel like you're like here, and I want you to go that extra bit, and that's the stuff that we need to just sort of talk about. So, without me blabbing on any further, I just would like for you to let's just start from the top again with a little bit of Sibelius and try just ripping away all the discipline and just thinking of extreme sort of emotional content, if you will. Good. Now let's just try just that one bit again, and let's be more specific. Bow speed and bow pressure. Vibrato's fine. I felt like what you did with it was to distort rhythm more. And what you did actually, not just to distort the rhythm, but you elongated all the rhythmic changes, which I think, apropos with this discussion we were having about the language, it's very quick and syllabic, and everything is very fast. So, it still stays kind of quick. But I think what I was looking for, what I'm hoping for, is a little bit more variety in bow speed and bow pressure to emphasize the dissonances or the openness or the confined sort of nature of the music that you're playing. And try it again. Try to keep the just really keep it going. It's a little bit of a ball and chain, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So far, what I hear in your phrase is the most important note is the long D. Just because I'm not sure why, but for me, what I think you should probably do is to take away the instrument and just really take a look through the score a little bit more and just imagine in your head a little bit more what you want it to sound like. I mean, for me, there's dolce and espressivo. We had is a little. There's a little extra something there, and to me, they just sound a little bit too similar. But I think that crescendo on that D is really just a means to get to the next part of the phrase. It's not so much such a significant part of the phrase, right?
Yeah.
And ta-ri-ra-ram, ta-ra-ri, na-ta-ra-ra-dam, ta-ga-da. It's too deliberate. So let the phrase go. Imagine that the crescendo, the dynamic, the hairpin is a direction thing also. Ta-ri-ra-ram, ta-ra-ri, ta-ri-ra-ram, ta-ra-ri. But give more emphasis to the harmonically important moments in the phrase.
Right.
Yeah, I hear a little bit like you hear the same kind of tone on both, on the down and the up. I think it's a little bit. I think it's not even. It is it da 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 ti da da di da da da. It's more spoken. It's not. It's not. It's espressivo and dolce, but it's not molto cantabile, right? Let's just think of it with more diction first, if that makes any sense to you at all. Try just a little bit more juice on the down bows at the beginning. Let's see how that goes.
A little bit more.
More juice, more substance on the down bows. Good. Yeah. Okay, and I'm not sure that you're totally understanding what I'm saying, but that was better at the very beginning. The phrasing to me is ta ya ram, ta ya da 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 dam, da di da dam, da da di da 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 dam, da da dam. So we have sort of short, long. Right now it sounds a little bit da ya da ya da 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 dam, dam ti dam tam, ta da di dam ti da dam.
Okay.
Okay? So let the crescendo carry you through the phrase. Yeah. My snapping doesn't help because of the delay, but you're just holding back. If you just really imagine the running eighth note thing in your head. I know that you know this, but it's not really working. And
Okay.
you have to sort of be floating on top of it rather than holding it back. It's not so Germanic, is it? It's not like a Brahms kind of vibe, right?
No. Mhm.
It's airy. It's got there's if it's on a tundra, like everyone says, I think it's definitely an Arctic tundra kind of vibe. Would you agree with that? So it's the snow blowing over the road. It's airy. It's got horizontal motion to it.
Mhm.
So of course there are places where I used to live in the prairies in Canada where it was like the same basically. Just you drive on the highway and there'd be speed bumps made from the snow. So it's not just a breezy snow. There are always lumps. There are always bits and things, but the general vibe I think has a little bit more oxygen in it.
Okay.
So we need to find the places that are more viscous, but we also need the more horizontal motion.
Okay.
We'll move on, I promise. Yes, good. Right. Good. 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 And now we're getting into something a little bit more sinister, right? So you had a beautiful end of phrase, and then ta da 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 dee, da da dee. We need to prepare that a little bit more. So I think you burst, for my taste, you burst the bubble. You finish this phrase, and instead of take the chance dynamically, you play. You go back to soloist tone again. So you achieved this at the end of that diminuendo, at the end of the phrase, you achieved this beautiful thing and you drew our attention in, and then you just gave it solo tone again. So tell the story, like where you end up with the line, you carry the line from there. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, so just play it from da dee da dum da da dee. It was a beautiful motion through the phrase. It was great. Much, much improved. Yeah. Good. All right. Good. Good. I don't want to get caught up. We don't have enough time to get into too many details, but the crescendo begins on the G sharp, but it goes until where you just stopped. So you have a long ways. Make us need to hear what you're doing. Don't give the answer all the time. This is kind of what I'm getting at. Is that you tend to give the answer. You're broadcasting the answer all the time. There are questions in this music, right? So maybe you don't even know what's going to happen to that note. Do you know what I mean? And you're telling us already before Sibelius does what's going to happen. Because I remember playing this as a young person also. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it's the first forte of the piece. It's still introductory music. It's still very much in this. It's still within that kind of framework. So it doesn't, in my opinion, it's not, the floodgates don't open here. There's plenty of opportunity for that to happen later. So you have to find a tone that's clear and driven and communicative, but isn't that.
Right.
So as soon as you see that G sharp, you have an opportunity to turn this phrase in a way that brings us with you. And that might mean a little bit the opposite of the way that you're currently approaching it. Okay? Now, I just wanted to touch on a couple of other little details about later, just timing wise. Every time you have these little hairpins at the bottom of the page, you can't wait so long. It's just a tenuto. It's not a molto ritardando. Okay? Do you know
Where
what I'm
is?
talking about? The very bottom line of the page. A piacere.
Oh,
You have to keep the music going. Otherwise, I think it just kind of loses its momentum. You know? And following that, bear in mind when you're coming out of this long cadenza, the largamente cadenza, remember that you're making this up. It's a cadenza. You're making it up. It has to sound improvised. It has to sound as though you're finding your way out of something. When you enter the orchestra back in the tempo primo, make sure that you're not accelerated so far beyond tempo primo that you have to slow it down into the big tutti.
I see. Okay.
It's not such a big deal. And I myself included have been guilty in the past of doing so much stringendo that it obliterates any sense of what's really happening. It's more angst ridden, it's more struggling than that, I think. And so I would really try to pace it more carefully as you get through to the tempo primo. So you're not at the end. Imagine that. as you're pacing the entire cadenza out. So it just needs the Sibelius, and actually your other pieces need a little bit more practice with that type of thinking in mind. If does that make sense to you? It's hard to describe, but I think it has to be about this stuff. What's going on in here? So what did I write? Yeah, can you just play the very beginning of the Mozart?
Uh-huh.
Okay, good. Can you try right now? Let's say you're about here, from piano to forte. Can you be?
Uh-huh.
Can you try this? And much more off the string, much more, um, yeah, energy. Good. And I just wanted to say because I think you need to work on the stroke. It's too careful sounding. It's a this is like a young mischievous composer. There's all kinds of energy, excitement, and magic in this. This is the introductory music for this opera, and you know the opera, right? So you have to establish this. And imagine that you're in a large hall and you need the articulation to really get all the way to the back. And if it's a little mushy and the dynamics are too compressed, then we don't get really a sense for what it is that is about that this is about. We just have a really good sense of execution, right? Can you try one more time, just a much more extreme, risky version of it?
I'm not really understanding what in terms of
Shorter,
stroke.
more off
Yeah.
the string, more extreme dynamics. Good. Okay. Okay, good. The very last thing I want to talk to you about is just very very briefly the Mahler. Try to find something that's like keep your eyes closed when you practice it. Find something deeply personal inside. I found it didn't sound self-conscious, but it sounded a little bit too extroverted to me. I think part of that might be the Zoom platform. It's just like psh, I hear everything, but I personally just need it to be more intimate or an innig or that kind of really special tender Mahler sound. It was almost a little bit too for frontal kind of romance in this sound. So experiment with your bow speeds, experiment with your strokes, find larger chunks of phrasing, horizontal textures, and explore all of those things as you keep going. Because for me, when I'm on a panel and I'm listening, and anyone who's here listening right now to this, please pay attention to this one comment that all of us want you to do your most musical iteration of what you are. Anyone behind a screen wants you to do your best, and we want to hear you play with passion, with your most passionate commitment. And if you play in a passionate way that doesn't align with whoever you're playing for, that's fine. There's someone else. There's always a match somewhere. But trying to match with everyone doesn't work. Trying to do something that's correct doesn't work. And I'm not saying that I'm not accusing you of that at all. But I think you should go further in the other direction and try to be more risky.
Okay.
All right? Brava. Good luck to you. I'm sure I'll see you around in the future. Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any comments for Don Juan?
No, it sounds great. I think it just needs to be really like completely all the way in.
Okay.
We don't have time to go into the specifics, but
Right.
it sounds great. It's a really well played.
Thank
So
you.
brava.
Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
Thank you, June. That was beautiful and wonderful coaching. I know these are so fast that we have to move on to our next performers, but I really appreciate that. So now Jin Liu will play orchestral excerpts by Brahms, Mendelssohn, Tchaikovsky, and Schubert.
Hello. Yeah.
Hello.
Can I switch the order, if you don't mind?
Whatever you like.
Okay, sure. Good.
That's easy. And where are you now?
So I'm now in Buffalo.
Okay, right on.
Buffalo, New York.
Bravo!
Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic playing. I feel like I've heard you before.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful stuff. All of it. I have a lot of nice things to say. I feel like I have a very general comment for you. That again, these platforms, like auditions, also are not conducive to feelings, especially good ones. You know, it's just such a sterile uh, vibe, and I think it's really important to. So when I was listening to you play, I was thinking, "Wow, what excellent execution! This is wonderful intonation. What great rhythm, and very, very accurate, and very well prepared. And the tempi are very attentive. And but what I want is a little bit more the sense of like, gosh, I haven't heard that piece for such a long time. I love that piece. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, and that has a lot of manifestations. Like we talked about with the last person who played, is a fantastic player, also. But there's one thing that doesn't come through as much as you want it to, and that's the joy of all of these pieces. So that's easy, right? You just have to be more joyous. Well, not exactly. I mean, you know that. It's not so simple. But I really would like to take that approach with you here and see what we can do. Mendelssohn, I mean, these choices are great also. I mean, they're very challenging excerpts. But they all have, well, except the Brahms is a little different, but the other three have this very, very joyous, upbeat kind of atmosphere to them. And so it's very interesting that you put them all together in this way. The Mendelssohn is the most challenging, I think, in some ways, because of all the intricate sort of rhythmic entrances and involvement with other parts of the orchestra. It's notorious for that. I like the tempo. How did you feel about the tempo? Was it on the faster or the slower side, or was it about exactly what you were hoping to do?
I think it's okay for the spiccato. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't play it any slower than that.
Okay.
But I think it felt slightly slower to me than it would have even at the same tempo, with a little bit more variety in bow speed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that let's just try. It just felt a little bit static and a little bit too romantic. A little bit more just open, horizontal. And when you come in off of rests, it's just a little bit static. Da 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 da. Yeah, pa 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 bum. Yeah, pa 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 bum. It's okay to have more direction, even if it's not written in. I think it needs a little bit more of that to encourage your colleagues to come in after you. You know, it's playful, and right now it's extremely accurate, and so I have no doubt that you'll have no problem playing with more direction. So you want to try it again, and let's just give it a little bit more je ne sais quoi. Okay, it's better. The da-dee-dum da-da-dum ba-yam da-da-dum da-ya da-da-dum. But still, I think the melodic material continues, right? So da-ya da-da-dim da-da-dee da-da-da-da-da-da-dee ya-da-dum da-da-ya-da-dum.
Yeah.
You're fragmenting the phrase too much. Yeah. Is it? Yeah, that's better. That's better. Is it da 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 dee, or ta ya da da ya da ya dee ya da dum?
Yeah.
So let's give a little bit more of the hierarchy of the phrase now from the beginning. Play the pits too. Play from the very beginning. It's easier. Great. And da yum da dee yum. Instead of da dee yum ba.
Uh,
Da dee yum ba da yum. Go right up to the wall, you know? Good. Now, can you try at the beginning to have more of a sense of bow speed, really an exaggerated bow speed at the on the long notes? They sound a little bit stuck to me still. Yeah. Okay, good. And I'm just listening to the notes that connect things. Ta-ya, ta-ya, ram, pa-ram. It sounds ta-ya. It's very, very clipped, the first note that you play, the pickups. And sometimes when you see a crescendo, you play dee-dum, da-da.
yeah.
I don't think that's the intention, personally. I think the whole phrase is growing. But I don't think that it requires a crescendo on that note specifically, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Good. But it shouldn't be da-da-dum, da-dum, da-da-dum, da-dum. It shouldn't be twice the same thing.
Mhm.
Right? Yeah. Much better, yes. And then tayaram, parayam. Give the same emphasis on the little note on the at the tip. Yeah. Good. And it's subito. It's subito, right?
Mhm.
I don't have the music in front of me, but good. Play from the beginning again, and I won't talk for a minute. Good. For my taste, the only thing I would still sort of nitpick on phrasing wise is the very first bit. It sounds really it's dangerous because it just really sounds one one one.
I see.
I think it's very natural to go to the third one. It might help you also just to get that sense of joy more that I'm talking about. It still sounds just it's better, but it sounds just still a little bit held somehow.
I see.
Yeah? Good. Can we just do that crescendo one more time? And I think so. I'm just kind of a little bit puzzled here. Like I feel like I see you play. I don't feel like they're connected enough at the very beginning. And again, even when you come into it from this scale at the end, I don't feel like it's connected enough to the as a result of what we have. So it needs more breath and preparation before you begin. And it has to come from the pits. And it has to come from the crescendo on the way up. It just feels like it happens by accident a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Just play the very first one at the beginning of the piece first, and then we'll go back to the crescendo.
Sorry.
Good, good. And then can you do yeah.
Maybe here too.
Yes. Exactly. Same, yeah. Good. And remember, da-dee-dum, pa-dee-dum, pa-dee-dum. You really need the little notes. Even and you might record yourself and listen back. You'll hear dee-da-dum, da-da-da-dee-da-da-da-dee-da-da-da. It just kind of disappears a little bit. I'm not saying it should be sostenuto, but there's something about keeping the character up, up, up. Everything is up, and never letting it kind of drop, so that we have a continuous energy that goes through. I don't want to dwell any more on that. You get the idea.
Yes. Totally.
But for me, as a listener, those little things make a big difference. I think you can go even further with it as well. Because it's so youthful and so invigorating, and it's just such natural energy, right? So you've got the style generally down, and the tempo is great. I like that you didn't come, speeding out of the gate with it. But at that tempo, you do also need to give it even more refinement and in the phrasing. So good. Now the Nutcracker was really good. Nice. I wrote that I thought it needed to be more fun. Which is really easy to say from where I'm sitting. I haven't had to play that overture for years, but I used to play in a ballet company, so I played Nutcracker a lot, and it's really uncomfortable, and so it can be very preoccupying technically, to play that. But there's nothing heavy about it, particularly when you go up in register. There's nothing heavy about it. It's really just light. Overture music. There's nothing crazy. So could you just play it again a little bit, and we'll see how we get into it. Yeah, and I think just a tiny bit of space help just a little bit, so we can hear a little bit more clearly what's happening.
Yeah.
It's to remind me, I don't have it in front of me, so da 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 dee dum da da da. It's just dee dum da da da, right? There's no rest.
Yes.
Right? Can you, do the articulation that you're doing, but try to carry the phrase through.
But I do have like two separate little slur
Yes.
but it shouldn't be a gap in between.
Da dee da da dee da.
Got it.
Yeah, almost. Try again. Also, don't be in a hurry. Da da dee da dee dum da dee dum. it's rhythmically just a little bit clipped. It's a little bit too. I imagine a little bit more costume and a little bit more weight. Just a little bit more. It doesn't have to be heavier, but it needs to be rhythmically fulfilled.
I see.
How long is that note? The F.
It's 8 notes.
Yeah, give it a little bit more emphasis because that is the end of something, isn't it? It kind of just disappears.
Yes. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. I think I just noticed this with you also in the Mendelssohn that the last 2 inches of your bow just kind of disappear sound wise. So you need to work on just giving a little bit more bow speed and a little bit more attention to detail when you get there, especially in this style of music, or the Mendelssohn for that matter.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, just it's the opening part that I'm more preoccupied with than the later part. Can you just play the beginning of it again?
Sure.
Without being heavy, without being too romantic.
Is that enough
Yep,
for the
perfect.
preparation?
Yes, that's nice because you have the offbeats with the violas and the other parts of the string. So anyway, wonderful, good. Let's move on.
Sure.
I said, yeah, your body language and your rhythmic sort of integrity and the sense for breath in the Brahms was very good. Could you just play it one more time, please? Good. When you say something twice, don't say it the same way. I know you know this. I know you know it, but you're doing it. Also, does it have to be dum ta dum da dum dum? It's I don't know George Zell. I just it's fine, but it could still be a little bit classical. Yum da dum da dum dum. A little bit more just straight, you know. Right. Good. So that first A is a little bit more impressive. You know, bah. And then yada dum bum bum bum. Da yada yada yada. The embellished one needs a little bit more attention.
Okay.
Right now it sounds like a task that you need to play it twice with an embellishment.
Uh-huh.
It should be a joy that you get to play it twice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just think it needs it's better. It needs just a little bit more contrast from the sort of this strong character and then the more beautiful feminine character in there as well. Can you just try it one more time from the very beginning?
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, so this is just one more comment I wanted to make here and also in the Schubert. Coming off of long notes, I'm just here to remind you of habits. That's all I am. That's all I'm good for. But da 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 da. It's a little bit too much like that, and it also happens quite a lot in the Schubert. So just remember, it's all connected. You know the drill. You know.
Yes.
You want to try? I don't think you need
Uh-huh.
to really. Yeah.
Better?
Yeah, much
Okay.
better. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
much
very
much better.
different than the one I heard. Okay.
Because it gives you then you have the moments that are like this, and then you have the moments that are like that.
Uh-huh.
So it's just the only risk is playing everything a little bit too vertical. I find most people play that excerpt a little bit too vertical the whole way through. So remember to have your horizontal bits too. It really the contrast really helps a lot.
Uh-huh.
And the same thing with the Schubert. We have like 1 minute, but maybe just a tiny bit more of the Schubert. Let's try that with the same thing in mind. Yeah, you can have more fun.
Okay.
It's Schubert. I know
Okay.
it's easier said than done, but it's your job.
Yeah, I know.
It just sounds a little bit static. A little bit static. It's very accurate and very well played, absolutely no question. But it just that next step you have to have the courage to have fun.
Mhm. Yeah, I will try my best.
Okay. I'm sorry, that's a really annoying thing to hear, but it's true. Okay?
Yeah.
Bravo to you. Fantastic to hear you, and
Thank you
all the
very much.
best.
Thank you very much. Good to see you.
You too.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Up next, we have Daniel Joseph of London, England, who will be playing the exposition of the first movement of Mozart's Violin Concerto No. 3, followed by excerpts from Der Rosenkavalier by Richard Strauss and La Traviata by Verdi.
Hi.
Hello.
Daniel, I hate to do this. I'm going to interrupt your performance for a moment. I think when you rejoined, we lost your original sound.
Oh, sorry. Is this... Hang on. I've clicked something. Let's try this.
Yes.
Any different?
I think we're good to go.
Okay, we're good to go.
Very original. Bravo. Good choices. These are wonderful choices. Are where what's your situation? Where are you playing and what's your position in life in general?
Currently, I'm in London, but I'm working. So I'm trialing with a few groups in the country, but kind of keeping the audition cycle going as much as I can.
Okay. I have a couple of questions for you
Okay.
um, about the way that you prepare.
Yep.
When you prepare something like this Traviata or the Rosenkavf orchestral stuff in general, but particularly opera stuff, what do you do? How do you start? What's your process like?
Nearly always start with the score, especially for these two because there's such contrasts in the complexity and the way they're written.
Yeah.
But starting with the score really gives me all the information I need with in terms of how to phrase, where to come up, where to come down, who to tune to, especially in the Strauss, which is a real nightmare to kind of you play your one line, starting in A flat major and then go straight to E major. It's a really difficult harmony to process. So
Yes.
almost always with that, and then kind of going from there to see how much of the score I can keep in my head whilst looking at my part.
Do you find that you abandon the score early on in your preparation, or do you keep it by your side?
I keep it with me as much as I can,
Okay.
whether it's, I mean, I kind of rely on it 90% of the time as, in the first maybe day of looking at an extract, and then I'll kind of just keep it with me
Yeah.
walking along.
Okay. I'll I'm going to be completely blunt with you because I think that there are a lot of beautiful qualities in your playing. I love your approach to sound. I love your approach to character, and I can tell that you're prepared and that you're well committed to the music that you're playing, and I respect that integrity very much. So I'm not surprised to hear you say that you prepare in this way. However, there's always that however.
Oh yeah.
I I feel like when I hear you play not only the excerpts but also the concerto, you go a little tangential in the sense that we miss the inclusion of everyone else. So that's why I was asking if you're preparing with a score because I feel like rhythmically you divert in ways that are very difficult for people to follow along with if you were leading or for other section members around you to play along with. But also in the concerto, it's so free rhythmically at times that
Mm.
we don't have a chance as an orchestra to play with you.
Right.
So that's why I asked if maybe you abandon the score at some point because you're in your own mind a little bit. And it's a very musical mind and I respect it. But I just feel like we need to maintain contact with the the gravity of the reality of the rhythmic integrity of all these things. For example, in the Rosencav, the drive forward all the way through it, and a sense of bowing and particularly bow distribution in the Traviata. You
Yes.
know, you like right before that last trill, you did a big ta ya ya, and you play here and you play there. It's not mindful enough, I should say, of true section playing. So
Yep.
it needs more attention to detail in that sense. And so one of the things that I think is as a mass generalization after hearing you play for 10 minutes, um, one of the things that I think might be helpful is to sort of abandon vibrato a little bit in your process for a while. Not to
Okay.
say that you should play senza vibrato and you should be pure and play in this style or anything like that, but I just feel like it's a little too uniform, and your vibrato is a little bit like mine. It's wide and generous, and some people call it lush, you know, which is a good quality when it's used in the right way. But I think you need more tools in your shed, um, particularly spanning these different periods and styles in the way
Right.
that you are here. Um, So all of that said, like maybe we should start with the Traviata. I mean, you know what's happening in the story here.
Right.
Bad things, really.
Yeah.
It's opera.
Tuberculosis and all that.
And she's gonna die. She's in her bed. It's quite what? What's the word? What words come to mind for you? Anything?
I think with this particular scene, because this music has kind of come before,
Hmm.
it goes between what's coming for her and what is hoped for.
Hmm.
Because I mean, all the way through, she's juxtaposed. I always get this confused with La Bohème and Rigoletto. That's why I had to read up the story again because uh,
Right.
yeah, I got them all confused. But I mean, at this point, there's moments where it's really kind of cold and you can feel the life coming out of it, and then there's times where it's warming up.
Right.
And it comes back to cold again. It's light and day in that sort of sense. But
And
yeah,
and in terms of then so for the very beginning, what's your interpretation of the character there, just for the opening section?
um, it's got this kind of intensity, but at the same time, it's got the intensity that's kind of trying to boil over. But at the same time, it's very very hushed up.
Right. Okay. Good. Yeah, and I mean it's hard to articulate in words,
Yeah.
isn't it? I mean it's not really fair to put you on the spot and make you come up with a word to describe this part of Traviata, but it's just important that we keep contact with that. I felt like you're in very layman terms, I felt like your vibrato was just too generous and you weren't there wasn't enough attention to your bow speed and bow pressure in relation to your vibrato,
Right.
and particularly in the upper third, upper quarter of the bow. It's I don't know if there's enough rosin on it or, but it just kind of loses contact slightly there, and sometimes the sound doesn't carry through into a rest. But the underlying issue for me in this music is when we have these sforzatos or accents. Or those are huge, those three notes in succession. And one of them has an accent on it. But what does it mean? So that's why I see you're clearly a feeling individual in this way, and you're very aware of it. But yet you play an accent in a very standard fashion.
Okay.
You play it as a universal or a universal marking that is it seems to be approached in the same way no matter what. And I don't think it's a stab in the dark. I think it's something that's in here.
Yeah.
So it's full of blood and oxygen, and it has to be filled out.
Right.
And so that's a bow speed vibrato relationship thing, for example. Okay? Um, and then as this whole thing progresses, I think it needs a little bit more of a sense of abandon, just a little bit more sense of abandon, as
Okay.
finally the story rolls on in a way that it didn't before. So why don't you just try the very opening of this? We don't have enough time to go through really any of it. So just the very beginning would be great.
Yeah.
Good. Good. I appreciate the effort. For me, what I'm looking for a little bit more is fingertip contact with the fingerboard. Just a little bit more. Doesn't have to be finger vibrato. I love the oscillation that you have going, but it needs to be not tighter or narrower, but just a little bit more. We maybe begin the vibrato slightly before you begin to play. So, sorry, Daniel. Sorry to interrupt you again. Everything seems to happen suddenly. I'd like to see your body in motion and your breath happening before you begin to play. Both hands. Same thing here. And just stay where you are. Why do you need to go to a down bow?
It's what they have. It's what they have
Okay,
in their
fine.
version. But I'm very
Okay,
very keen to try
do
my
it. The
idea.
only reason I like it on an up bow there, and this is just personal, you do it however you like, but it has we didn't quite achieve it yet at the very beginning. Getting the motion in the right hand before you begin, it has to be already moving. We have to have the sense that it's already moving somehow, instead of beginning and then the sound starts to develop. And particularly on the high G where you just finished, the bow arm has to be already fully committed and engaged.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, great. It's a very small detail, but it sounds like everything. Your lungs should be full when you begin that note, and the bow should be moving. It takes about half a second for it to start to move, and we don't get the pitch until much later.
Right.
Sorry to
From
be
the
such a
start.
pest.
No, no,
Second entrance. Second entrance is fine. More bow speed. Without pressure, without bow pressure. Yeah. Good. So here we settle chuck,
yeah.
chuck, dong. So we enter into a more sort of ballad kind of atmosphere, right? So then the left hand can relax and we can get slower bow speed and a more viscous sound. But before that, the vibrato is critically important. A different vibrato, a different bow speed, a different sense of tension, because this is the underlying torment of all of it. And then there's sorrow, and there's a different kind of a different kind of dimension. But I don't get a feeling of transportation from one realm to another the way that you're
Right.
approaching it right now. And that's ultimately because, first of all, the accent is way too intensely stabbed, but also the vibrato is just too loose. It sounds beautiful. It's better than it was before, but it still sounds just too gratuitous, for lack of a better word. Okay, and I think you really need to work on feeling underneath, even though it's going to come out calm. You need to feel more tense in that opening, and then when you relax into that B flat and the pitches come on the second beat, it's like another universe opens up completely.
Right.
Whatever you're bowing, whatever you're fingering, it doesn't really matter. But I think we should leave that piece there. I want to work on this for 2 hours, just that one piece, because there's so much in it.
Yeah.
There's so much in it, you know. But we also have to go back to the other pieces. We have 5 minutes, so let's go. You know what? Before we go back, let's just do this one more time from the high G, and we'll go a few measures into the next section. It's important.
So,
Yeah. So keep the tension. It's a little bit more matter of fact, isn't it? There. So I just feel like you're letting go of all the tension. But these are still holding. then shut. Good, great. That's a nice corner that you turned there, and that's a new color, and you didn't hear it that way before. Now, the other thing is rhythmically. I don't know if it's on purpose, but you play. You do this sometimes, particularly when you're changing bow at the frog. So I just want you to be aware of it. You're distorting the rhythm, and I think when you've got 1, 2, 3, you really owe it to your section colleagues to play in time with them. And then there are moments where you can all do rubato together, but I don't think that's one of them.
Okay.
I think we enter because we're coming from actually a very free place rhythmically before. The conductor might take forever on this opening section. But when the celli enter, when the basses enter, it's all chum, dum, da, chum, bum, chum. It can still be absolutely beautiful with that structure. So can you just start from the B flat?
Yeah.
Ah. More legato with both hands. Yeah. What's happening is you're slowing the bow down at the frogs. Which distorts the phrase but also the rhythm. Good. And the last note is so important. So if you don't have enough rosin, put more rosin on. But if you do, even if you don't have enough rosin, try to feel your way desperately to the end of that bow. Now more bow. Whoa. Yeah, good, 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 good. But not. You're settling back into the same character again.
Right.
But we've worked so hard to get there.
Okay.
We've already, this is our second iteration, and this is now we're entering into, this is real torment we're talking about, right? So it's pretty enough, could be anything. But don't let go of it. And then widen vibrato. It's like taking a pin to a balloon.
Right.
Okay? So just that second part of that phrase. Okay. Okay. Okay, and the accents need more definition, and that D flat at the end just needs to be a total sort of catharsis.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe an up bow might be more appropriate for that, but I don't know. It's personal. It just sounds like a new, fresh beginning on a down bow to me. But think about it. What's right for you? I don't know. You said you were just playing what's in the part there. That's fine
I'm
too.
figuring out the bowings as I get to know it a bit more.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think it needs thought, and it requires your personal input based on what you think of the music a little bit more. But you see what I'm poking at, and I'm prodding at you a little bit, and I hope I'm not aggravating you. But it's important for you to do that to yourself as you practice, because it's one thing to appreciate the music and to enjoy playing it. It's another one to really commit every ounce of your physical presence to getting the line across and turning the phrase.
Right.
And I just think that you seem to settle into comfort habits of comfort a little bit in your playing. The rhythm, we don't have time to do it. The rhythm in your Mozart is a little distorted at
Okay.
times. What I would recommend you do is record yourself playing it,
Right.
and you'll see what I'm talking about. It doesn't carry on in an even. I think you need to work with a very structured rhythmic sort of bass for it. I love rubato, even in Mozart. I love lingering on a note here or there. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I don't think it needs to be square, but I think you specifically, as a person, as an individual, need to practice a little bit more squarely. And in fact, not just with an emphasis on rhythm, but with an emphasis on removing your left hand involvement and committing more of your energy to your right hand involvement, because it's going to not only achieve better articulation, better control of the phrase, but it's going to keep from distorting the rhythm.
Right.
Okay? Um, and in the Rosenkavalier as well, it's a matter of of distortion. Play the very very beginning of Rosencav. We have to end in a second, but just play the very beginning of Rosencav. Yeah, but you're not going to have a whole section go da da dee da dum, right? You can do a little bit of a slide, but not such a big one that it distorts the rhythm, right?
Right.
Play. Just do me a favor and play this opening with minimal vibrato once. Just power, energy, right hand. Good. And it doesn't mean that you have to finish quietly every time. You can still play with power.
Okay.
It doesn't. It doesn't have to end with a beautiful taper and everything. I think the line continues. But can you try one more time with this minimal vib? It actually doesn't really need much more than that.
Uh-huh.
When you're practicing, get rid of the vib completely once. Play it really with full engagement with your bow arm all the way from frog to tip.
Right.
Lots of bow speed.
Sorry.
Lots of bow speed. Can you play? Good. As soon as, and this is a tricky thing, and I just want to be very clear about my intention in asking you to do that. I want you to do it with more right hand engagement.
Yeah.
And then the vibrato is only there to release tension in the sound. But
Right.
the right now, what happens, and it's not just you, many people, and you're not the first person or last that I've asked to do this exercise. I think it's really important for an important layer of practice and commitment. But you have to engage successfully with the phrase without all the vibrato
Right.
before you can add it back. And what happens is that we tend to play without vibrato, and we play like as though we're playing some sort of Baroque repertoire or something like that. It loses its tension, it loses its direction. And but that's exactly what we need to add in with the right hand. That's exactly what's missing there. You're overcompensating with your left hand.
Right.
Okay. Um, I'm sorry to have to be so brief about it, but it's something that I feel with you specifically could be a really nice key if you can focus on that. Record yourself and listen for what I'm talking about, and it might help to unlock another room to enter
Right. Yeah.
in terms of getting to the next level. Um, I hope that's helpful advice in the
Really is.
end.
Thank you so
Let me know.
much.
Bravo to you. It's nice to meet you. Nice to hear you play.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you so much, Daniel. I really appreciated that. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone for tuning in and participating in this masterclass. Thank you again to our performers and especially to Benjamin for the inspiring coaching today. If you have any questions for Benjamin or any of the performers, we have time for very, very few questions, but put them in the chat now so that we've got them. Can I quickly ask you a question, Benjamin?
Yes, please.
You were talking about committing to our own feelings and getting completely involved musically in what we're playing. So what keeps us committing to our own feelings or getting really involved musically? I think, for me, that's definitely getting into the technical side, the perfectionist side. Ideas on how to let go of that. It's something that comes up frequently at this level of playing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really difficult thing to speak to very briefly. I think one could do a whole lecture on it. No, seriously, and that's what I talk to students about a lot. I think our business is so full of people who are incredibly well equipped to play at a high level. It's unprecedented. There have never been so many people in the world who play all of these excerpts and all of these pieces in our standard repertoire at such a high level as they do. So, my question to each and every person out there who's playing classical music is what differentiates you from everyone else? And it's not to say that one should be completely self-indulgent in their emotion in playing this music. That's not what I'm trying to convey at all. But I do think that what I hope is that the answer lies a little bit in informed knowledge and the liberation that you find from that. If you're only engaging in your own feelings, then you're doing a little bit of a disservice to the composer that you're supposed to know about. So you need to do the due diligence and study the composer and the context of their life and the context of their music, because it really informs the emotional content therein. However, you then have your own opportunity to participate in conveying that, and that's the beauty of interpretation. And I know that that sounds a little pedestrian to a lot of people at this level because everyone has thought about these things. but we forget because we're trying to win jobs. We're trying to scratch our way to the top and get the top jobs or get the best opportunities, and we'll do anything that we can to fit in and to do our very best to win the job. Of course we will. But it's just my job. I feel it's my job and my duty or responsibility to remind people that we want we need people who are expressive and informed. We need that in our business to keep it aloft and to keep it healthy. And we also need it for our own satisfaction. If we're trying to tick boxes and do things accurately all the time, we really miss the point of what we're trying to do here.
Absolutely. You're also talking about something I think that goes hand in hand with this, and that, or at least to me, distorting the rhythm. To me, sometimes when we get too much into expression, it's very common to start distorting the rhythm. Now, you were giving some specific advice about like recording yourself playing it or really focusing on, rhythm coming from the language, whatever makes the most sense. How would you address this? So once we've got that narrative, we're informed on composer, we're informed on what our story is, and we're bringing ourselves into it. Now, how do we not distort the rhythm?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, at some point you have to give up if you're not able to fix the problem. I don't think anyone here today has that kind of issue at all. It's just that I think that when you do rubato and when you do, which I think is great, when you do distort the rhythm, it has to come from a place of absolutely informed decision making and not just spontaneity. And that's a little bit of a problem. I think that's why people don't spend quite enough time studying scores in the sense that they know what it's like to play in the orchestra, to imagine what it would be like to respond to what it is that they're doing. It's, it's difficult. We don't get many opportunities as students or young professionals to play with orchestras or to play with pianists or to play with others to who will react to us in a realistic way. And when we're left to our own imagination, we can lose touch a little bit with um, how responsive or unresponsive an orchestra an orchestra might be, or a pianist might be, or even the imaginary in the Bach. I mean, you're working with yourself, but you're still working as an ensemble when you're playing the sonatas and partitas. So you have to cooperate with your different parts of your brain and your body all at the same time. So it's a little bit about really just about coordinating something that's cohesive and coherent. So I think it boils down to common sense and hard work and due diligence through score studying, but not score studying where you're just kind of looking at it while you're on the bus and you're not thinking about what you're looking at, but score studying where you're actually notating, what you need to listen to and why you need to play specifically in a very rhythmic manner in a particular passage because you have corresponding music with another instrument. And that's knowledge. So if you don't have that knowledge, then you're going to distort the rhythm. So I just hear a lot of young players and older players who spend too much time in the practice room focusing on just their own self-improvement and not quite enough on sitting without their instrument and listening and watching along with the score. And listening, I think, to many recordings is really important. That's something I didn't talk about early in the class. Unfortunately, I should have spoken with some of the students about it. But I think listening to a lot of recordings of great violinists, not just violinists with high YouTube hits, not exclusive of them either, but listening to all of the greats and picking and choosing, features that are interesting, but also making careful note of what's going on with the other people who are involved. And last but not least is I think that people should really, really be engaging as much as possible in chamber music, reading parties, just any opportunity to play together in casual and fun environments where they're not under pressure. Because then you learn, a lot of things just fall into line. I mean, if you walk enough, you learn how to walk really well. And really, it's the same thing with playing music. If you do it and you put yourself into the right context frequently enough, then you're bound to do the right thing. But if you spend your life alone in a practice room, then you're bound to make mistakes that you don't have to make.
So it's just bringing everything together, being aware of everything, just condensing that
Just
down.
all of it. Yeah, just everything. You know what I mean? I mean, it's you do have to follow a very strict regimen, and it has to involve, it's just like the food pyramid. You need to have time without your instrument. You need to have time without music, time where you're going out and doing things, socializing as well. It all has valid and valuable input into your playing.
And then we have one more question. I know we're well over time today. So we have a question in the Q&A. How much teaching do you do on top of all your performance obligations?
That's a good question. Not very much. I've been so busy playing for my entire career so far that I've largely just done classes and some chamber coachings and stuff like that. I've started teaching at Manhattan School and the pre-college division this year, sort of feeling it out a little bit to see how I'm going to be able to handle more of it, because I love teaching. I really enjoy it. I think it's really important for a lot of reasons. So I'll be doing more of it. I'm an opera job like mine requires, just a massive amount of time. And my colleague, the other concertmaster, David Chan, he somehow has managed to figure out a way to teach and raise a million children and be concertmaster of the Met all at the same time, which is I find really remarkable and inspiring. But I have two little kids of my own. Now they're 5 and 8, and so they require a lot of my attention. So I've actually been, this summer I took off. I said no to virtually everything so I could be with them. And lessons learned from the pandemic, it's really important to spend the time. But I do, to make a really short answer very long, I really love it, and I hope to do more in the future.
Well, we really appreciate your time today. I love getting to sit on these and take all sorts of notes about what feedback is. It's so helpful. So thank you again so much for your time today, Benjamin.
Thanks for
Thank you
having me.
again to our performers. We really appreciate your time
Yeah,
and preparing these for us too.
really, really impressive playing all of you guys. Thank you for playing to me. I appreciate it.
Take care, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye.